Okay. My name is Anastasia Liukhina, and I am teaching communication and negotiation here at the business school. And this year we were discussing about how to make this experience even better for the people who come. And we decided to do a pre-orientation just to give you some hints and advice and possibly new ideas about learning, because we see and we know that, like when grown-ups come to learn, it's different than what we do at school. So today I decided to invite two guest speakers, and I will facilitate both meetings. The first session will be about learning priorities and your experience as an MBA student. And the second session, we will talk about how adults learn and what you can pick up from how your brain works in order to be more efficient in how you learn. And before we start with our wonderful guest speaker, I also want to suggest as a side activity to offer you to draw mind maps of what is going to happen today. How do you know what are mind maps? Okay, so maybe if you have notebooks, or I'm happy to share the paper, and I will try to draw mine as well, and then we could compare, because mind maps is a really good way to visualize and to structure and to remember the material. It's better than taking regular notes for most people, and for adult brains that are so overloaded with information, it may be a good way to learn time. Okay, so you can just pass on the paper if you want to, and I will try to do it on the board, and then we will take a look at what comes out of it. Okay? All right. So I want to introduce you our guest speaker. I have to admit he was one of my favorite students in the group, in the previous group. He doesn't know about that, but Alek was one of the best students in the school. And when I was given the task of sort of doing this orientation session, I was thinking, well, we have to talk about learning priorities, about time management, about how do you organize your life around studying. Who should we invite? So I started talking to different students from the previous group, and I was asking, well, who do you think will do this the best? And they said, well, I can do it, but I think Alek will be better because he actually enjoyed it more than any one of us. He actually did better than any of us, and we think he will be the most appropriate speaker for this session. So Alek is originally a biophysics specialist, and then he switched to oil and petrol, and he has been with Shell for 12 years and now moved to the Association of Gas and Oil Producers, right? So I've invited Alek to speak about his MBA experience. And please, hi, good to see you. Yes, and please, maybe we could compare your notes afterwards. That would be interesting. For those of you who are late, we are trying to do mind map of each session today, and then we will compare. Okay? So if you need paper, please come and get it. If not, that's okay too. Alright, so the format for today, for the first session, is that Alek gives us some introductory remarks, and then afterwards we can have just a Q&A session, and you can ask questions, and hopefully this session will help you plan your life better and plan your studying better, and find some tips from Alek to support you in your learning. Alek?
Hello, I'm really proud that the school now invited myself to be some kind of a small lecture, giving it for you. 2 years ago, we also started such a study. It was an original MBA course, no data science or artificial intelligence or data transformation. I believe now it's more sexy and interesting, but it's additional to the core courses. What is interesting, we didn't have any pre-course. We just came and start our team building activities and start to study. And what I would like to share, because when I was invited, I started to think why from the side it looks like I enjoyed a lot, why it was so fun. I tried to understand what was the biggest motivation for myself to really pass all the courses in a time, because sometimes students, if they have some job changes, some other things to do, they do not really pass all exams in time, and they have some late with the other groups, some other subjects and courses, and they, have a duration of starting for 4 years, or sometimes 3, 4, 5 years, but originally 2 years and it's enough. But it's not so easy in this case. And I start to think about what helps to me. And first question, do you like coffee?
Yes, for
Do
sure.
you like coffee, yeah? Do you know Starbucks company? How do you believe this company is doing the business? I mean, well, good, normal, something like
Very
very good. What about McDonald's? Good?
Very good.
If we compare this company, they are both, drinks and food, a bit different focus, but which company is better, bigger, growing fast? McDonald's, yes, but which company you prefer to invest money? You are already starting to develop your business skills, but just guess or first feelings.
It's the money in coffee.
So Starbucks, yes? Who voted for McDonald's? Yeah, McDonald's, okay. It's an interesting story what happening with this company, and why I'm touching this point is that a lot of discussion saying about business, what is more important, strategy and focus and a good operation. Because it's a lot of discussion, but of course the answer is a good combination. McDonald's is famous for their processes. They were like crazy about it. They invented. I really recommend you a good book, What Big Mac Told You, and the movie Founder. If you do not watch it, it's like one of the best business movies based on historical data. But also Starbucks company starting with a coffee, they really now beating McDonald's because they focus on coffee. They see the strength of coffee. They see the strength of the more healthy foods. They catch up, and on a stock exchange rate, Starbucks is like this, McDonald's is like this. And it's not because McDonald's doing their business not in a bad way. It's not because of the processes. Like in the people life, if you make some comparison, like habits, what they do in a life. But it's about strategy that they start to miss. They were so self-confident that they have a right strategy that they do not change. But reality completely changed. And what I would like to say about the starting, it's like, of course, you can learn some hints, tricks, and of course, you are already mature professionals, you know what to do, and you want to make it more efficient, but you also need to understand why you come to the MBA program. What is your short and mid-term goals? I'm not talking about strategy like vision, mission, something like 10 years ahead. It's like sometimes bullshit corporate one. But strategy, especially in Ukraine, is something like 2-3 years. And in 2-3 years, you need to understand what exactly you need from your MBA and what is really available for your career. Because in this case, you will really understand how all courses will be connected with your career development. Why you really need some courses and really need to study every day, not just like we pre-discussed that you have some classes on a monthly basis, and then people usually procrastinate, waiting for another 1 month and do everything in the last point. In order to really help yourself in this way, you need to understand what is your goals in the next 2-3 years, how MBA will help your career. And actually all this question I ask myself why I'm going to the KC MBA program, why I'm going to the MBA program itself. So it was really interesting to understand because I want to change my professional job. I want to build a bridge to the position of the CEO or general manager. I was an operational and sales director, and I realized that in my company I will never get this GM position because of this joint venture structure of international company. It will be shell person anywhere. So in this case, you need to understand that if you want to grow, you need to find a way how to help you with the learning activities, with your study, to be more competent. Because, for example, a lot of the subject Of course, I know based on my daily operation, but I didn't know how to manage it if I will be the chief of the company. And I also realized that maybe during this period of time of MBA program, it's not a good idea to change the job. And actually, people really say that if you start this study, please do not try to change your job same time, because it will be really complicated. All your new role will be quite, fighting for the free time, which you can spend to the study. Of course, I noticed it, but I didn't follow this advice, and it was really complicated. But I really changed the job at the end of the first year of my study, so it was not so painful. But for you, my recommendation, if you have now quite a good job, current role is quite okay, it's much better to continue doing what you are doing and spend all your available resources for studying, to really make it more valuable for yourself. Because majority of the people who change the job, they really in this way start to prolong the duration of the courses. So, and also, of course, the first priority when people is changing the job, if they are professional, is the job. So the studying process is starting to suffer, so it's not really good for the situation. So strategy will help you to understand why you will use the skills. Also, first hint, it's better to focus on studying in these 1.5 and 2 years. And also, what is interesting in this case, that you, of course, will be not alone in this process. You will work as a teams in your groups, and also sometimes you will have some lections with other MBA groups. And what was my learning from this stuff is that, unfortunately, we as a group missed a bit of half of a year just without good cooperation, team building, and good connection with each other. Everybody came to the lessons, everybody was smart, like this, studied, tried to compete for some marks, grades, or something like this. It was like a personal achievement. But the real studies start when we start to do group works with other teammates on some subjects, because you will have a lot of such works during the classes, also as a homework. So try to get in touch with your colleagues and teammates as fast as possible, because the second learning, after the courses, you will have a capstone project. It's like in Ukrainian university, like a final diploma project. And it's much better to understand with whom you will do it, and the topic much earlier, then it will be like next month you will need to do capstone. Of course, it was not our case. We had 3 months to understand and choose a topic, but it's really good when you already have a connection, you know what is the strongest point of your colleagues, what is the weakest, how you combine it with the project, and you already choose the topic of the project and start to develop it during the course. Even some people start the business during the course with their teammates, and it's much better because you have own tasks, and of course you can do some learning exercise, just a learning exercise. But remember what I said about strategy. When you understand how you will utilize this knowledge in the future, and what is you doing on your current job, you will have an opportunity to do your class homeworks, as a part of your business, or as a part of your future capstone, or as a part of your activities. For example, for me, on a marketing course, I start to think that, okay, I also maybe want to teach, and I make all marketing final papers as myself as a lecture of the business processes and retail development. And I did it, and I now have courses with Lapa. It's not advertisement, but it's like I can do everything, but I try. Why I'm not focusing on my personal branding and make all the project exercise, draw the timeline and everything, and utilize it immediately. And at the same time, for example, for Anastasia course like negotiation, I already realized that I'm quitting the job of operations and will be focused on JAR, of course, negotiations, networking with the people. So I realized that I need to take everything from the A to Z and really utilize this negotiation in my life. Because on some jobs, negotiation is something like nice to have. Yes, everybody negotiate, everybody communicate. But when you really understand that it will be one of the key priority for your next job, you will take it much seriously and spend more time. Again, If you are talking about time and learning, I realize that majority of you will have like 1 month, 3 days, and it's really intensive learning. We also have it for some courses, and it's tough. I realize. For my courses, it was one of the benefits why I choose KSC MBA program, is that we have Tuesday and Saturday, 2 weeks, 2 times per week classes. One after, of course, work, it was complicated, but one it was a full session. What is really gives to me, in your case, you also can use this like a hint. You need to learn at least 1 hour and a half till 2 hours per day. It's not a fun, it's not a joke. If you really want to take maximum from the courses, just understand it. That it's each working day. If you want to have a free, enjoyable Sunday or Saturday, but not all Sunday and Saturday, you need to study during the work week. So it's more or less okay 1 hour and a half or 2 hours per work day to really succeed and be on the top of A students. But you really need to do it every day because you really lose a lot if you will wait for some weeks before you start to do the whole tasks, because just you lose knowledge. You will need to go and see video from the classes again. Also, it's like maybe Anastasia will tell you, it's like based on all biological and mind activities of yourself, that you need to start learning as quick as you get new information and practice also in 24 hours, in 7 days. So otherwise you will just lose your energy and so on. So the hint is like a regular learning, and will really help you to avoid stress. And also you need to learn with your teammates. Remember that I told that we lose more or less half of a year because of not good connection on the team building and not to understand what is the strongest point of your teammates. But in a group you will learn much quicker. Also, I believe you already organize, but if not, please organize some chat, Telegram, I don't know, Facebook group or something, and it will really help you to exchange not the right answers on questions for the study. It's against the rules, but actually you will get all the tasks which is individual. It will not help you to exchange the right answers, but the right logic, the right approach, the tools that you really can learn from the teammates really save you 50% of your preparation. Because if somebody already start to do something, he can help. Especially if you will get to the subject like quantitative methods, it really kills a lot. Especially it will be complicated for people without mathematical background. If everybody have mathematical background, it also not maybe helps. But what I would like to say that in this case, if you see that based on your subject, you really, have problems with the maths, it's better to start also from now to do some mathematical solving issues practice. There are some good smartphone program which helps you to quickly, develop your brains or redevelop it again, or just to do some simple maths, starting to remember the theory and practice, because it helps and it will be from the beginning of the study until the end. So of course there are some courses which is really focused on some psychological approaches, not quantitative data, but in artificial intelligence, data transformation, it's for sure will be a lot of maths. That's why we also have in a group good people without mathematical background, mainly from the legal sphere, but they were successfully finished because of the focus and because they really put some additional energy on this part. So if you are part of this group of people who need some additional math, I suggest it's better to start from the beginning. What is also good that we test our ideas for the capstone project. Capstone is like a business project which you need to make a full presentation, including the financial model, marketing, business strategy. It's like your business which you will present to the investor. So of course, in our case, it's good that we did it 3 months before. But if you have much longer period of time, you can test your capstone ideas on the people inside the school, on your lecture professors, and you make your idea much stronger, and they are more supportive on this. Because of course on a capstone project they really invite some people from the business, of course it will be some professors from the school, but mainly it's like a chief of some companies or some private investors who came and make some kind of evaluation of your ideas, and then you pass or not, it already depends on the situation. So if you will really start fast, understand how your teammates work, maybe you have some common ideas, you can start to develop your project as soon as possible, and it will be really easy and fun to really make it nice, to get a good marks, but moreover, it will help you to start this business opportunity, not just make it, like put it on a paper and put it on some table. So for us, it was really good that we organize a good teams, we test our ideas on our professors, and based on the evaluation result, we were a bit better than other groups when we do this project evaluation and final exam. What is also interesting that I can put it, of course, on the first place, but it will be maybe looks not like a business school approach. That sense of humor and fun that you will have on your classes. It's one of the best motivator to come and to meet other people, and it's really not a bad idea. And even our professors, of course, they have some materials, they will do some lectures, but they are quite okay with some share of humor and some jokes, I mean professional ones, not some stupid, but it really keeps the atmosphere high. And we really found that it was the first time in the school. We have an organizational behavior course, and we have a test of some personalities, something like, and we have one guy who passed the test and say, guys, I have 2 equal results. So at the same time, there's different persons. And this starts so big joke in our group. So for the last year, it was another person we called Valera. Yeah, you know, everybody know. So it was, if something was stupid or rude or something like crazy, it was like Valera. And it was not only one person who originally invented this guy, but it was something that it can be transferred to another people if they start to say some stupid things. And it was, how to say, gender free, and it can be Valera with a female also. So it really also brings some good energy to the group, and it was fun. So of course, people are professionals, they came from the different industries, they have their own personal ideas, tasks, strategy, but in a team you can make much bigger and better results, and it's fun. And in this case, your Saturday and Sundays will be more fun than like now you are coming, oh, it's Sunday, it's early morning, it's a lot of the activities that I better to do. Fun, it's also good. What I said, the chat and exchange of experience. And also, I really recommend you to look at some opportunities to connect courses. Because I found that 2 cases in a school. We have a good professional in a school for finance course, but he also do accounting and capital market. That when you have all 3, you will have a really good opportunity to learn maximum value from this professor, and also you will build a full finance understanding in your own mind. I do not know your background, maybe you're already finance professional, but it's also good. Also, we have the same things on marketing and sales. We have Mark from L'Oreal, who do sales course and also marketing, and it's connected. And even our group, of course, it's also taking a point of taking the choices, because it's selective course. If you take one, you do not have opportunity to take another, or you will take it for advance payment later. As a group, you will need to vote for some elective courses, so you need to understand that's why strategy, priorities, and so on. But again, to the marketing and sales, it was a good combination that you can reach and get all the experience of the professor. But also when we talk about strategy, we simultaneously take strategic marketing and strategic management course, and it was also not the same. they're all based on the cases, but it was really cool that it was different cases, different approaches. So sometimes, as our group decided that we really need to get more knowledge about strategy, we really agreed, vote, and focus on strategy. So for you also need to understand what is your own ideas to get more hard skills or soft skills, and also as a group. Of course, in this case, we unfortunately didn't get HR course, legal, but we decided there is something more interesting exactly for the group and for the people, and we did it really well. In majority of the cases, our group, it's MBA6, because now it's changed for the year, MBA20, MBA21, but we was like a 6 group, so MBA6, as I would like to say, of course, school can check this data. Majority of the group finished the program at the time as planned, and majority passed all the exams because of the good teamwork and no competing with each other. Of course, you will compete because it's based on philosophy and standards of the school. So you will be ranked between your group, but it's not make any effect on our teamwork. So we all succeed together or fail together and finish this capstone project, because capstone you can have a group of 3 your teammates, and it's much easier. Also, it's a hint, for example, when people start to discuss, they have a lot of their own ideas what will be the capstone project. But then they realize that if they will be so hard pushing their own ideas, they will lose other teammates who want to join. And it will be an opportunity, or do some compromise good topic with 3 of you, or do something yourself. And of course, it maybe looks like a hero. I will do my capstone project myself, but it will be difficult to combine with your, private life, studying, working time. So finally, it's much better to work as a team, to split it on some tasks and really succeed in this. So actually, it's more or less, sorry for some maybe not sequence in my speech and my English. I didn't practice till I finished, from the time I finished and graduated, but I'm ready to answer all your questions as you have.
I believe your course is finished now.
No, we can go.
No. It will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, just it was really helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
I will, when we get back, I just want to make notes on your wonderful questions. So we have about an hour for questions.
Yeah, sometimes you do not have a choice. You need to ask the questions.
No, we have a choice of just like stopping early, but it may be helpful. Like, please don't hesitate to ask what you are worried about. How will you handle it? Maybe he can help, because.
Maybe could you please share your names?
Sorry, maybe you could also briefly introduce yourself, because you may want to know who is in the room. So just the name and the company and the program maybe.
My name is Oleg Maroka, MBA20. I'm Chief Operating Officer in a small IT company, a product owner. I would like to ask what was your aim before studying, and what you achieved at the end. And what was maybe a gap, or was, let's say, underestimated something, or overestimated sort of your expectations and reality. So this before studying.
It will be quite complicated, but I will try. As I said, I work in some good international company, but it was already the 12 years that I spent. Of course, I grew through the company, role to role. And finally, I was on my 4th year as a sales and operation lead in HL, retail petrol science, operation, petrol. It's not like IT, really one, but also complicated and systematic business. And I realized that if I want to make a next step, I need some additional knowledge, as I said, as on a level of a general manager or general director or COO. So in order to run all pieces of the business with a good understanding what I need to get. And of course, the main topics for myself to develop in it was finance and strategy. What you can't get from the normal operation. In normal operation, of course, you can do sales, you can do operation, continuous improvement, marketing, all soft skills you can also learn in development. But strategy is something which you really work only on a higher level of your company. And if you have an experience in some sphere, it's also do not give you the best instruments to learn in another sphere. So the strategy is something universal that you need to know how to operate in different environments, and I believe it's for me like a top knowledge that can be linked to the higher level position, like starting from the general director. So the strategy was the first. The second was the finance. Of course, I understand corporate finance. I work as an investment manager to calculate the investment efficiency, all this NPV, all the other stuff, but I do not understand in details how the cash flow, balance sheet, all this P&L is connected and run through all the companies. So I know some pieces of the work. Of course, I know P&L. I was owner of the P&L and for generating money. Balance, I know something. Cash flow, I understand that the message cash is the king, and it was okay. But then I realized that I need some additional knowledge. I realized that I have some spare time to do it. It's also important. I realized that based on some family condition, I have a small son. I do not have an opportunity to go abroad. Then I realized that working in an international company, I know how important the English in a good level of communication, and I checked the program of all other MBA and realized that if it will be combined in English, it will push myself to learn also more, to communicate more, and it's really like a 2-in-1. That's why I focus on checking the KC MBA program, and then I realized that it's quite a convenient time frame for it. I also, and professors, which I also know from the market, I realized it will be my school. The idea was that at the end of the study, I will be in a position to join any other company on a position of CO -1 or CO. So it was my target. It was, I'm not starting the MBA just for fun because I have a free time. So it was an idea that it will help me to reach next level of the role. It will be interesting, it will be motivated, it will be new good projects, but it will be also money rewarded, because for professional life, only, for example, for motivate myself, it's a nice project on the first place and interesting one. Second is the money is like a efficiency mark that you are getting. So I understand that MBA for me it's investment. It's not fun. It's like give me more opportunity, more chances to get the role what I really like. And also I wanted to change the industry, because my industry, oil and gas, it's like more or less already declining industry, which is not so interesting. Based on my previous scientific activities, and I really like innovation, startups and others, so I realized that continuing the job on the current company, if I get the additional 4 years in Shell, I will not be more valuable on the market than I'm already now. So for me, MBA will also give me a chance to join other industry and say, okay, I'm not in your industry, for example, IT, but I have a good background as other businesses. I have MBA, I understand how it runs. I have more chances to join IT, biophysics, or any other stuff. So for me, it was also an opportunity, and like this anecdote about the lottery, that you need to buy the lottery. Of course, MBA is not a lottery, but you need at least to do something to have bigger opportunity and wide variety of choices. So for myself, it's really everything happened as I planned. Not finally, because during the job change, I now go in like a parallel development. I did not reach what I planned in a business, but I moved like a parallel and getting some GR, PR activities, what is needed in Ukraine, also to make a good business. So like association, it's like a lobbying with all the company united. So they're all competitors, but they have a common goals in order to lobby it with parliament, president, and cabinet of ministers. So it's now my job. But finally, after maybe 1 year or earlier, I will back to business. So finally, destination is a business because I like numbers, I like achievements, and I like business development. But it can be also a side move, and it's also good. It's much better comparing staying and doing the same thing for another 4 or 5 years. So for me, it's a bit of stupidity, but some people like it. So finally, it's not finished. Based on my educational aims, I get everything, but even I get more because of networking and because my personal also development, mainly in the soft skills. Because hard skills I was quite okay, how to say it, mathematical focus, scientific person, more introvert style before. But then I start to develop a lot of the soft skills based on communication, working with a team, engagement, leadership, and all this stuff. And I realized that it's also needed. Of course, you can be the best specialist without talking with other people. It's possible, but it's not so fun. But it can be changed. So 10 years ago, I was an absolutely different person. Now I'm migrating to more, how to say, open extrovert one.
Okay, this were more personal career objectives, yeah?
Yes.
But did you have some from organizations where you wrote some objectives? And let's say, did you feel some changes in your KPIs?
Yeah, okay, clear. Unfortunately for my previous organization, even without MBA, I already closed majority of the gaps. MBA helps a bit, but if it's not a growing industry, it's not a lot of opportunities to implement your knowledge. It's also what I said before the lecture, that it can be some disappointing moment during the study when you finish. Then you realize the Ukrainian market and Ukrainian level of the companies will be not satisfying your wishes and ambitions. So, but you need to understand it clearly and also try to migrate to the industry which, like IT, is competing on a market level, not only Ukraine. Also, you can work, and it's a good idea to start your own business, at least like a sole investor in some project. And also, you can do some personal development yourself. But it's not also, you do not need to have these rose glasses, yes? That unicorn is going through the streets, everybody is happy, so it's not. So you also really need to understand that variety and range of the nice and good and development position is limited. If you want to be in this scope of the people who have opportunity to reach it, you need to learn a lot, even maybe further than MBA in your professional skills, and then you will succeed. But it's really, MBA studying is like a multiplicator. So now you have 100% opportunities. After the graduation, you will have 400 or 500. It depends on your ambitions and how you will learn. Maybe another question? Yeah, well, ladies first, and it was...
My name is Valeria Zakharova. I work at NBU, National Bank of Ukraine, as a strategy and development department. I'm business process manager.
Oh, cool.
So, and now I will study digital transformation program. My question is regarding the businesses that you said you started, or some members of your group team started. Could you please give us more details? What kind of business, which area, which field, how long time it takes to start business, how it is going now, and how much effort did you or your group put?
First, it was really interesting, and maybe majority of you already have this experience. Based on the finance and capital market courses, everybody of us start trading. It's also interesting to play at least with not finally your money, with the virtual ones, but with really good rules to know how to work on a stock exchange market. And some people continue to do it on a forex with a limited, risk amount of money, but it's one opportunity. Another opportunity, it's one guy who joined this solar panel plants development, and actually we as a team did this project as a capstone. Solar plant in Ukraine. So he joined this Khmelnytsky Unit City group and worked, but it's not his personal business. Just he continued. He was KPMG ex-employee. Then he worked some different other financial jobs, and then finally he landed there. We have from different groups some cafe opened, bar cafe opened.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yes. Also, we have a business development, but it's not also finally a new business. It was a business of transportation, the old industries, plants from Europe to Ukraine. So it's like a metal construction, which already not used in Europe. They are coming here and then using for production of biomass, some agricultural stuff. So it's quite cheap and good business for transferring. Also, we have two startups, but I do not know how it was finished because it was also capstone projects, and our professors make some agreement of the meeting with the investors of these guys. They had a good idea, you know, like Uber in transportation, something like for HR, for temporary job, for not professional ones. So you really have a calendar, you go there, you have some spare 1-2 hours per day, you choose which company you work, the system absolutely tracks it, pays salary, and it's really for the job which can be switched easily. So it's like, if you want some cleaner, if you want some driver, if you want somebody to make some small repairment, or something like this. It was some sort of kabanchik, but it's a more intellectual one, and with a bigger opportunity to make money. I do not know how kabanchik is financially profitable. Yes, and actually in our group we also finished with some project of a good cafe, like a stock exchange, but it's not started. When we go into details, we didn't run it. For my personal ones, I start the business courses, as I said, as my personal business. It's fun, and actually that's it on this moment. Yeah, it was also interesting. I know that the project is development. Our ladies in the group, they make this idea of the kindergarten and preschool based on, like they call it, even it's KSE Kids. Before KSE knows it, they say, please, we are like you, but do not use our brand. And they see the niche and idea to develop these skills, which will be needed later from the even school kids. Okay.
What's your next studying plans?
Oh, it's interesting. First, I realized that I need to go more deeper on such business process efficiency courses like Lean Six Sigma, Scrum Agile. I mean, more operation, like new ideas, theories, and implementation. I realized it. Next, I checked what can be some additional courses abroad. You know, there are some good MBA schools, for example, in Spain. The full studying of MBA there will be 50,000 euro. It's quite a lot, and no sense to go to another MBA just for this amount of money. But they still can have the good courses that you can combine with traveling to Spain, spending some time, and getting more knowledge about strategy. Because this is a topic when I also continue to go and check what can local markets suggest. There are some good speakers I can share if you're interested in strategy. So I also participate in the development in this field. And what is more interesting, I also start to look through some hackathon opportunities, startups ideas, in order to try to build their own model of my ideas, how it can be structured and run in this way. But you know, you need all to have some connection with the IT guys. at least if you are good IT guys, because majority of new good ideas, it's more or less anyway related to the IT. You can build a nice, model, everything will be nice, but then you need people who will do it. So if you will have a good connection between your groups, you can make a good product finally at the end. And it's much better to realize it and start in the beginning. So finally you will have already good cash flow, diploma, everybody happy, and you really do your home task from the study. You actually, it's like another hint. You can negotiate with your professors each time and suggest to change the topic. If you're quite developed, for example, you can say, maybe I can choose not this company, but I have my own idea. I will do the same scope, but please let me, I will do it in a team. And in this case, you just save time that you need to spend on your job or in another way. So try to negotiate. At least you will get something.
Well, I have a question.
Okay.
Because one of the things that the office people are sharing is that one of the problems that students have is that they're trying to be good students and they are trying to do everything well. Like they try to, I was just want to share because that's the habit where people fall into, that people are trying to do everything well and try to run for every course and get a high mark on it, and it creates a lot of pressure for people. So maybe you could say a bit more how you split time, how you diversified your energy, how you decided which course is more or less important. I mean, this was already clear, but still, how did you do it in time management terms?
Actually, I more or less say about strategy, and you also need to understand how each course is important for your development. Because in some courses, I really change my own plans. For example, for vocation and for something like this, I really change majority of my plans and prioritize the study at the top. On another cases, I said, okay, maybe it's bad, but I missed something, but I need vacation, for example. So it's also how you really approach to the course. It doesn't really your reaction on a professor or something like this. It's basically just, okay, I know it more or less. I do not want to have the highest mark. I will do like a Pareto rule, 20% of my efforts and 80% of the results, and it's okay for me. So you can't be perfect in everything, of course. It will be, in this case, not really good for your personality because it will be a lot of stress. People will see you like crazy. Do not take any chance to chat, to cooperate, or to make some, for example, we do some teamwork, some games, some mafia games, or professor helps us, we make some these lean games, does Google, maybe you will do it on operation. It's like business games, which you need to spend some additional time. You also need to come to the Saturday or Sunday and spend time with your team. So it's also, a challenge. And indicator, do people really want to communicate with each other and get some additional knowledge, or they just want to sleep, and it's also okay. It's a choice. So actually, business schools give a lot of opportunities to get, 10 times bigger amount of knowledge than you can take. So it's impossible. So you will, if you start to compare, it's also bad ideas to compare yourself with your teammates or other groups mates, because it will really make a huge pressure of you. Because again, this 10 times more knowledge, but a different combination for different people. And then you see and try to listen. Okay, this person is know mathematics much better than myself, or I should have 5 hours per day studying, or I have, something normal way, 1-2 hours, pass exams, and it's also suitable for myself. So it's a good idea that you compete with yourself in your past. It's like a normal recommendation for all normal people, not just because you are coming with a different background, and of course, among all of you, there are people which are, have a different strongest skills and different weakest skills. And for yourselves, you just need to learn and combine it in the groups to succeed with your project and a lot of the homeworks. Also, I really remember one case in the beginning. It will also maybe mention and try to be open when you talk with your groups. You will get a feeling that you work more than your other teammates in a group. And please tell that you feel it. Do not try to do it as usual, for example, if you have such a feelings. Because sometimes people really try to cut the corners. They, okay, he already do something or she already do something, I will join at the end. It's much better and professional to say, come on, we have a common task, we split it equally, please do your part. Because next time you will be against to take this person in a group. And it will finally ruin a relationship, and finally this person will do themselves. So it's like a good development of a teamwork and partnering. That if you have a common task, for example, we have on a marketing strategic one of the first tasks was bank, starting private bank, for example. And we split bank, we agreed who do what, and it was fantastic. We successfully did it even from the beginning. But sometimes I realize that people in some coffee talks say, we do it everything ourselves. This guy just came at the end and do some presentation. So sometimes it's okay if you're already good friends, you understand that there are some moments and some issues with a person, but if it starts from the beginning, it will really ruin your trust and relation to that person. And you will consciously or unconsciously start to avoid work with these guys or girls in this project. So it's also a moment which maybe not so nice, but you should be equally contribute in all home tasks. Do not, do not afraid to tell that, come on, you need to contribute.
Okay. Any more questions?
My name is Nazar. I work as a data scientist, developing machine learning, artificial intelligence algorithms for businesses. And my question is, tell us more about your capstone project. You already told us, but what was good about it? What was bad? Did you plan to make a real business from this? And,
yes. The idea was to really make a good business from this. Because we connect 3 persons in this area. For me, it was interesting because it's energy, and I also make some side project. I understand how the plants is operating, how it should be structured as an investment project. We have 2 other colleagues. One of them, his business was to bring this used metal plants, spare parts to Ukraine and construct something like this. So he knows a lot of the engineering company, how it works, these land companies who can organize the land with the right designation for your business, and another guy who worked with this Unit City and Khmelnytsky. They already in their company have this project, and the idea was to sell ourselves as a consultant team to build this project, to organize everything, because even investors have money, they need a management team, and of course you will be taught through the courses that in startups, investors usually buy not an idea, but the team who can deliver it. Because idea is something that in the air, everybody have a lot of idea. They really need some dedicated people who really, for the next 2, 3, 5 years, will really work hard, live on a job, and really make the good investment efficiency of the investment. So the idea was to do like this. Also, we chose this idea because it was not so complicated. Now I can say it. It's not so complicated because it's not absolutely new business that you know nothing. So it's a lot of assumptions which you really can check, a lot of other solar plants which you can really check, and the good financial results. Because before we really finish the project and do everything, in Ukraine we have one of the highest green tariffs, and it's paid in euros. So the business model itself, it's good. And we get one of the best grade on this final presentation because of the financial model. Everybody said, okay, business is quite simple, finance are sexy, risks are understood, so no problem. It was not like people also invent another Uber or some other crazy project and they were killed by the investor, like a straightforward and sometimes stupid question, but the business model disappeared when you focused on it. In this case, it was good project to defense, good projects trying to sell, not a really scientific-wise or something like IT-wise, but it's simple, good cash model, and etc. But already during the preparation, even 1 month before, we start to see that, of course, these nice conditions will be changed. It start legislation changes of this green tariff, which really happens easily. We really put it on a model as a risk, so we did all study that and show that if the green tariffs will be decreased, our model will be still healthy, but it will be not so good. We showed it, we defended it, but after 1 month we realized that the business disappeared. So it's also good that you do not invest your own money. That's why for our own projects we continue to have our chart of our group, which we continue to check our ideas for business. But what also I found that in our group that we have plenty of ideas, but finally when you start to develop it more precisely, you can realize that people have a lot of other focuses and priorities, and they can say that, okay, I'm ready to contribute, I'm ready to participate, let's do it, and that's all. So that's why it's not too easy to find at least few people who really want to drive these capstone ideas till the final end. But also another point is that now people really have good vocations. Even after already a half year after graduation, people still are relaxing and they need still more time to get back to the hard working, because this MBA studying is quite time consuming. Family sometimes are not happy that you spend a lot of time studying. So I believe it will be more results soon, not now.
Done? Okay, 2 things. One, it helps to ask questions to learn. If you are passively listening and you are not asking questions, there is less learning happening in your head. It's a fact, just to let you know. So it's a very good habit when you're working in the classroom to think about, even for your mental presence, what is the question that I may ask, what interests me, what are the things that are sort of catching my attention, because it helps you to be more mentally present. So I would like to encourage you to think of questions as the person speaks, as your professor will teach, because the questions will help you focus and get back to your own interest. My physics teacher said, if you don't have any questions, that means either you didn't listen or you didn't understand anything, right? So I mean, it's one of the instruments you can use to help your own learning. And second thing, I mean, I just looked at your mind maps and take notes. I mean, really, because sometimes it sounds like like a leisure talk. But I mean, if you look at how much was here, like it was a very diverse and very deep and very, a very good sharing with 2 boards that was written there. I hope it will be helpful for you. This is not a perfect way of taking my
I will need to make photos. I will never repeat it again.
Well, don't say never. But I mean, I was just writing notes. But notes also help you to be mentally present. Because when you are mentally present, it goes through, because I think right now we have so much information coming through our minds that we are very used to it slipping. So when you take notes, it physically helps you remember better and it also helps you to digest it better. Okay? Alex, thank you so much. There are 2 boards with your notes, actually. So, we have gone through some of the important questions, like what was my biggest motivation, what is helping me learn, why did you come here, and what's your personal strategy to change or not to change the job. And actually, MBA is considered to be one of the sort of usual places to change the jobs, actually. I think there is a really high percentage of people who do that. I think Alec made a really big focus on working with teams and actually making an effort to build them. Don't take it for granted. Yes, and also some really cool answers about what changed and how did he meet his goals. So I hope this was helpful, and you can use this as one of the tools to learn better. And I want to offer you to meet each other a bit better, so we will take some of the questions from here just to help you think and streamline your own learning. And we will do a short speed dating for 10 or 12 minutes. Is that okay? And then you can meet each other a little bit better. Okay, so if you agree, do you want to participate in it? Okay, so we need to stand in 2 lines, just like that. Maybe like that. Like this. So maybe we have 7 people on this side and 7 people on this side, and then we will switch. So you know how to do this? Yes, please.
Just in general, it's not understood, just give more information about what to do.
Yes, we will do speed dating. Has anyone been at a real speed dating?
No.
Welcome to our first speed dating experience. So we need to have 2 rows of people here, and you have to stand across from each other. So and it has to be equal number of people. So yes, so and you may want to get a bit closer to each other because it will not be convenient to yell. Yes. Okay. So you work together. 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 You work. Oh, excellent. We even have the right number of people. So what will happen? I really like this format because it will be very quick, and in this you will get to know each other just a little bit, and maybe get a little bit personal. So maybe not. It's up to you. You will have 1 minute each way. So you get 1 question, 1 minute one way, 1 minute another way. I will tell you 1 minute starts and 1 minute stops. Okay?
But what should I ask a question or should I just tell?
One of you has to answer the question. I give you the question.
You give us the question.
I give you the question. Okay? Okay, so the first question, and then you have 1 minute to answer it. So I will say it. Wow. Okay, so for the first question, and that will be a question for all of you, what is your biggest motivation to enter an MBA program? So then Ade takes her minute to explain it to Alec, and maybe say something a bit about yourself, and then Alec does the same, or he may give you a different answer because he already answered that question, but for most of you, you will have to do it. And I think it will also help you think about these questions for the future. Okay, so 1 minute is starting. What is your biggest motivation for MBA program? The next person in 1 minute, the same question, what is your biggest motivation for the MBA program? Thank you. You may not finish, but slide is such. Yeah, to step back a bit. So maybe you could move one person this way, and then like you can go to the other end. This is how we will ensure that we meet more people than just one. So the next question. Are you enjoying this? It's good? Is it good? Okay. What is your personal strategy for the next 3 years, and how are you going to implement it? First person, 1 minute.
Oh my God.
First next person, 1 minute. Stop. We switch partners now? Okay, so maybe, what's your name?
Mikhailo.
Mikhailo, maybe you could move up that way and
No issues.
we take one more step. And please tell me when you're bored, we can stop at any time. What? Yes, be careful with this guy. I've known him for a long time. He is the most charismatic police guy you ever met. And he is working for police, patrol police. That's a short introduction about that. Okay, so... What? Yes. Okay, the next question is, what is your biggest challenge at work right now? 1 minute. Stop and switch. Start. I mean, switch the not the partner, but
Side.
side. Thank you.
Yes, working on IT company, I am business domain industry is investing more like initial testing domain. But we do, let's say, main customer, feel the pressure.
So, would anyone like to suggest a question for the next session?
There's some more questions.
Yes, I do, but I just wanted to check. Any questions for your partners?
What was your biggest failure?
Amazing. So, what was your biggest failure? This is the next question. In your life, in your work, what? So, thank you for your suggestion. What is your name?
Vitaly?
Vitaly. May I ask you to move in that direction, and then you guys can move this way? And you got a new partner, right? As a result of this move? Okay. So your next question is, what was your biggest failure in life? Today?
Last year.
Okay. What was your biggest failure, and you can decide the scope? Please go ahead. Stop this switch sides. Time is So can I give you another question? And maybe we can ask, what's your name? Simon. Maybe you can move this way and then we switch partners.
Okay, let's look.
Isn't this a great format to meet everybody but within a minute, huh? Okay, so your next question is, Oleg, discipline, come on.
You were you remember?
What are your learning priorities for the program and why? Please start. What are your learning priorities for the Please switch sides. Yeah? Start.
Okay, yes, for me,
How are you doing? Do you want another question or would you rather have a break?
Right.
Break? Okay, so we take a 15-minute break and then we start?
Yes.
Okay. And please applaud to Oleg for a wonderful interaction. So see you in 15 minutes, yeah? Много ответов на этот вопрос.
Что?
Много разных ответов.
Я понимаю, что я где-то видел. В телевизоре. Может.
Я усиливала.
Не этот самый еще не включились.
Да, мы виделись там, да?
Нет, такое просто
Я
тоже изучал,
да,
скажем так.
да. Вот мне очень понравился, конечно, подход. Я ради него и сходил. Там,
Хорошо.
ну, это программа, это, в принципе, все то же самое. Почти те же риски, вот. Но Тимофеев, он круто. Я его подписан на Facebook. Вот по стратегии мне очень понравилось. Я тоже.
Я хочу сфотографировать
Я ж перевернул.
прекрасное творение.
Не,
Может быть, если стоит тут Тимофеева тоже.
ну, оно по стратегии, оно развивает мозг. Вот из того, что можешь найти, да? Не-не-не.
Я сейчас соберу, я могу прислать даже, Олег, это будет
Ладно,
типа.
у меня хороший тоже фотография.
Ну ладно.
Вот, я тоже смотрел, оно реально остальное, оно не так интересно.
Просто так повезло. Иначе мы очень 17. А, нет, 17. Ну,
Подсвечиваю это.
есть?
Сейчас, секундочку, вот надо, наверное, ага. Ну, вот это Artificial Intelligence Data Science, да?
Да.
А чем он отличается от Digital Transformation по курсам? Он сильно отличается, не сильно?
Ну, вот это техническая часть отличается, да. То есть сам Artificial Intelligence, там, Data Transformation. Там есть какие-то общие части технические, да, то есть, ну, скажем так, ну, и бизнес-специфика, там, бизнес-знания.
Ну вот я об этом думал, что уже после MBA какие-то дополнительные курсы брать. Но, во-первых, я не хочу, пока моя работа не будет связана с этим, потому что это просто рискованно, я не люблю учиться. Во-вторых, я еще хочу, чтобы собрались отзывы. Да, программа блог. И при том, что я верю, что все, конечно, молодцы и все хорошее, я хочу, чтобы они в чем-то года тренировались.
Я же тоже отзывы собирал, и я с первого, ну, только что первого, да, в принципе, пару человек положительно дали отзывы, да, то есть.
Хорошо, я не знаю, как бы, тут сложно сравнивать, знаешь, что это начинает ломаться копья, но там какая-нибудь школа выдачи и все тоже. Просто я смотрел, английский язык, соотношение к знакаче, неудобно брать. Вот этот книга, например, меньше подошел, это 3 дня интенсивно. У нас никогда несколько кабинетов, когда мы объединили язык, и это очень тяжело думать. Ты присутствуешь, но уже ни о чем. Да? Формально все прочитали, ты там что-то хотел, но качество усвоения информации, это но вообще очень прикольно. Единственное, что, конечно, этот самый, ну, время много занимает. То есть можно где-то там срезать углы, но потом это просто будет. Лучше сколько это
тоже, у меня тоже как бы, это решение уже созрело, да, я это откладывал, но я понял, что если не сейчас.
Ну, я еще тоже, да, я там проводил переговоры тоже с семьей, ну, пока ты будешь и сейчас получу, чтобы потом я больше времени уделять. Ну что, ты понимаешь, все субботы, оно выглядит сначала как бы, ну, ой, классно, все замечательно.
Только начали, да, при курсе уже.
Ну, зато это дело, это хорошо.
Я занимаюсь, чем ты это делаешь.
Я, кстати, еще я забыл об этом сказать. Очень классно начать смотреть вот эти все сериальчики, все равно все смотрят YouTube, какой-нибудь сериальчик на английском языке. Вот просто без компромисса, потому что это будет хорошая сделка с совестью. Ты продолжаешь получать удовольствие, но ты смотришь уже на английском, и ты чуть-чуть делаешь. Особенно вот сериалы, которые вот можно прийти, я даже, если вы не видели «Завидую», начать смотреть, и даже желательно на английском будет еще получить от миллиарда. Или дождитесь курса. Это вот по финансам, там тоже базируется якобы на реальных событиях, биржевая торговля, но тоже очень такой современный, очень круто. Ну, то есть для меня, вот именно с точки зрения бизнеса, английский языка, еще там каких-то соцсилов, это вот миллиарды и силчики. Он еще форс-мажоры переведен, почему это. Да, но там на английском, там тема бизнеса, именно если найти в оригинале на английском, оно мозг тренирует, то есть ты начинаешь слушать, потому что когда ты работаешь в компании или не говоришь, как сейчас, ты быстро теряешь навыки, потом вот, ну, все говорят по-разному, поэтому вот английский язык это тот бесплатный бонус, потому что какая-то другая бизнес-школа, ты зашел просто конспектом лекций, и материалы в них устарели уже на год, на два. То есть если вы не читаете то, что происходит современно, слушайте, что там на русском языке или на украинском, рассказывает профессура, то это устарело на год, два, три, и все, и отстал. Поэтому вот классно, когда сериалы, новые материалы, просто на английском учишься читать, писать, все делаешь.
Я иду в столицу, когда ты приходишь домой, и нет, я не залипаю в сериалы, нет, я учу английский.
Это тоже аргументация, типа, какого хера зависит. Нет, ну это, как, тут же вот этот метод маленьких шагов, оно каждый вот этот вот какой-то такой элемент хита смотрится иногда смешно, типа там, что за бред, там, вот как так, учиться там, условно говоря, каждый день. Но потом, когда начинаешь делать, ты, короче, гораздо больше экономишь. Потому что когда ты по чуть-чуть, и особенно когда лекция закончилась, и что-то математизировать, ты сразу разобрался, или у тебя сразу возникли вопросы, у тебя хотя бы до недели, до 2, ты быстрее препода спросишь или люди пообщаешься, а так ты ждешь дедлайна, или кстати. В этот вечер у тебя стресс, у тебя работа, ты садишься еще и пытаешься что-то делать, и никогда не получается. Как будто звонишь, ну, конечно, это тяжелее. А так по чуть-чуть, они еще сложно. Еще просто быстро расскажу, почему не надо менять работу. Потому что многие домашние задания надо делать на работе. Лучше потратить время работы, чем свое. Потому что на новой работе это не всегда сразу это сам. Поэтому лучше иметь такую работу, где ты прекрасно знаешь, что 20% усилий, 80% результата, удобно задержаться на работе, доступ к всей инфраструктуре, чем вот это вот думать.
Тебя остались какие-то которых ты чувствуешь, что они не добирают?
Я, наоборот, я получил супер уверенность по финансам, по стратегии. Может, даже не сверх того, что я получил. Я думаю о себе лучше, чем этот сам. Верный не это, то, что мне реально надо. Нам, например, тот же курс Operation Management, он хороший. То есть вот эти вот части, что я сказал, там более глубоко, Lean, Sigma, Agile, Scrum, оно... Agile, Scrum это больше Coach Management, а вот Continuous Improvement это вот самое, то есть я больше загонял потом дополнительно. То, что тоже необходимо, может быть, ну просто мне на моей работе надо, не всем надо, например, больше маркетинга. Потому что у вас, если будет малобазовый strategic маркетинг, да, но если кому-то надо более детально какую-то работу, как продакт, там есть базовые идеи, но вот механику надо изучать. Но самое такое прикольное, что хороший баланс, и переключаешься, когда soft skill, не так, когда предмет больше organizational или переговоры, которые больше мозг развивает, то вот творческую часть, и какая-то хардкорная математика, а вот как совпадает век, ну или финансово, там тоже много домашних заданий, и мне понравилось. То есть плохо, когда совпадают там геоматические, а вы там и там надо решать, и много домашних. То есть почему, кстати, вот, надо делать больше каждый день, потому что потом оно наваливается, и ты или не спишь, через забиваешь, и ну, все это плохо.
А такое было?
Нет, так а что, я и в институте, когда учился, просто понимаешь, если в институте ты учишься, когда учился лучше, потому что мне не выиграли, заставляли, можно, вот здесь ты будешь просто как-то за это заплатил, вот, и сам себя ты обманываешь, ну, как бы, смысл нормально, как бы у нас был чатик, мы обменивались, кто как какую задачу решал, да, если были похожи вообще, точно варианты, они разные, ты хотя бы понимаешь, как копать, где-то читать. Прости, потому что у нас треть группы страдала очень сильно, четверть не сдавала сразу, вот, сейчас поменяли преподавателя, чуть более мягкий, потому что, конечно, юристы не учили тут теорию вероятности или комбинаторика, как это вообще связано. То есть еще на дата каком-то сайте это как-то выглядит нормально, но после 4 дней
Что это наше?
ну, опять-таки, или то же самое, как в Калифорнии, у нас прошло просто классно, что это вот играли с плянах, получили задание, то есть там 100 тысяч $2 и торгуешь акции. И у кого вот теперь были лучше, тогда все поняли, что можно не только много,
ну, то есть ты можешь писать для исследователей,
давай как раз был кризис, но ребята научились подходить, что ты наоборот думаешь, что упадет, ну, короче, через элемент шортинга, и, короче, такие там писки, там, кто-то, и народ подзарабатывал, ну, там, условно говоря, производство за пару месяцев, 20-30%, 80%. Понятное дело, с реальными деньгами это не так рисковать. Когда у тебя виртуальные, зачем? Но все равно есть стратегии на западном рынке, можно как-то сейчас кризис. Нет, конечно, это знаешь. Но, поэтому я думаю, что это очень интересный и классный курс. Я думаю, школа очень быстро развивается. Многие вещей, которые мы приходили, не было, потому что работает сейчас. Ну, тоже вот будет знакомый. Понятно, что он там много денег, науку или это самое, но делает блоки, да, хорошо. Хорошо, тогда хорошо учиться.
Спасибо.
Да. Удачи, там, если что, Facebook, LinkedIn, если комьюнити растет, все равно все общаются, если надо.
Олег, я иду вас провожать.
Да, спасибо.
Я приготовила презентацию, чтобы он потом не...
Да. Я так
Вы же понимаете.
окунулся в атмосферу, да.
Вау, ничего себе. Да нет, это вообще не какая-то штука.
Я тоже еще не отдохнул от учебы. Молодец, это все. Я не готов в ближайшее время.
Единственное, что мне что-то хочешь, что мы можем, наверное, что-то придумать.
Классный контент, который...
Я тоже получу картину, да, то есть по полочкам.
Ну там все немного
Просто пересказывают уже идеи, упрощенно
у нас есть 2 минуты.
Мне нравится тема, когда живые практики рассказывают теорию, потому что история тоже поменяется. Они рассказывают из своего опыта, типа из серии, как не надо делать, пока все разрешено. Честно, редко кто такое рассказывает, и это ценно.
Есть понятно, системное, да, ты получаешь знания, все по полочкам поставил, дальше понятно, уже то, что тебе надо, выдвинуло так далее.
Но мне нравится, что очень классно используется все знания, чтобы заворачивать свою идею, тестирование бизнеса.
Ты потом сможешь?
Ее можно дальше, конечно, изучить уже и психологически, но, по крайней мере, ты можешь научиться на одном языке, рассказывать таким людям, свою идею не серия, а бла-бла-бла, давайте что-то.
Это ты пойду проведу время? И
Сколько дней, такая ситуация, какие-то риски, можно быть, бывает просто красиво, бывает что-то детально.
Зачем это делать?
Спасибо.
Спасибо.
MBA?
Хорошо, так что мне переключать сами. А здесь будет такой,
Okay. Does it smell okay right now? I mean, because I opened the windows, is it okay now to close the windows? Okay. So maybe, but then can you help me close it, please? So are you ready for the second set? This will be a different one, by the way. Not because we have a woman, but because I think the teaching styles may be very different. So I want to introduce you to a colleague of mine. This is Tatiana Gerasimova, and she was a CEO, and she built it from scratch of Zeneo UA, which is a really big company that helps kids, teenagers, and adults prepare for the tests. So she knows really a lot about tests, she knows how to manage them, she knows how to prepare for them, she knows a lot about learning because she was quantitatively studying how people improve their skills and knowledge. And for me, I think she's one of the best experts in Ukraine on learning. And she is now working as a
I'm not so sure. Just forget this.
Come on, I am trying to raise your credibility as much as I can, and you're just like not helping. And Tatjana is the CEO of Smarty Ads, and they are doing all the digital stuff that I have no idea about, but you may know what she is talking about.
Okay, but
And we will also have the same format. We will have Tanya's presentation, and afterwards we'll have questions.
yeah.
And please do the mind map yourself. I mean, I will also do it, but try to give more presence to this moment and take notes, okay?
And if you have any questions, you can just ask, or you can take it and note for our discussion later. Okay. So nice to meet you. I have a question for you. What do you think? What is the most precious in our life? Precious.
It's easy.
Yeah, that's easy.
It's knowledge.
No.
It's time.
It's time, really.
It's
So
time.
now we are going to spend like 1 hour and a half and talking about learning. So it's making very exhaustive and very in a way that you can put it just in practice just today after this lecture. Okay, so I would like to hear from you your expectations. What you do want to hear today?
Maybe the most efficient way to learn.
Okay.
I don't want to spend a lot of time just, struggling to get some concepts or ideas
So it's
out of
you
this
want
possible.
magic pills, so just eat it and you know
If it's
everything.
possible, yeah, that's the magic pill, but I'm not really into it. I'm not buying the idea of magic pills.
Actually, please tell us how to, in most efficient way, exchange one person time into another person knowledge.
Okay, now I will try. Because it's okay, that's great. Sleeping, eating, and blah blah blah. Okay. So let's start. Let's do it. Let's talk about learning. The most my favorite topic to solve. So what are we going to talk today? It's just about 3 components. First, about 7 modern competencies that our educational system didn't give you. I'm just sure. And I really hope that in the future, for our children, this system will give these competencies. Second one, it's just how learning occurs. We will talk about brain, but without any biological notions. I will give some structure just for your understanding how it works. And the last one, I will share my experience and will give you 10 important things that you should do before or during your learning. I guess it's like the most that I can do in 1 hour and a half. Okay, so let's go. First of all, I would like to talk with you about 7 competencies. It's not just something that I get through life, or it's just from the official report. It's a very interesting report from Global Education Futures. It is an organization that investigates a lot about educational systems in the world and how we learn. And they put all their investigation in 2018 in one report. You can read it, it's very interesting. And they investigate that we have 7 competencies that is really important in nowadays, but unfortunately our systems, not only in Ukraine, but in very different, like in many countries, the system just didn't prepare us. Why? It just because our system is quite rigid. So just to move on and give some modern, you should like spend not only 1 year, usually it's almost 5 years. What does it mean? It means that you should know about these competencies and you should learn them by yourself. So it's your responsibility to take this, to acquire these skills. What is this? So the one I sure that you know a lot about this. It's just emotional intelligence. So it's just your ability to know what your emotion get and to make something with it. And the second one is media literacy. It's very important, especially with technology, with I don't know, with mail marketing, with knowledge how advertising can do something with you or any information in the internet. So it's about information giving and media analysis and more media creation. You should just know how to make some media in the internet. Mindfulness practices, yes? So we talk a lot about focus because it's really important to be productive. It's not so easy to have clear focus when you work because you have a lot of stuff like cell phone, colleagues and blah blah blah, and you should practice it. Meditation, relaxation, etc. Ecological intelligence, so how to live in our world just in an ecological way. Okay, creativity and opportunity-based thinking is just because of developing of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and about machines. So in your work, if you talk about employers, they want from you just more creativity and more thinking, like different thinking than before, because a lot of stuff now you can do it by the computers. Collaboration, so we talk about communication between you and participative problem solving, how you can solve problems not only by yourself but in your team. It's really, really important. And the last one is metacognition, so you should know how to learn. Why it's so important to know how to learn? Why it's so important now, but not so important, I guess, like 20 years ago?
Because the speed of changes.
Yeah, speed of changes. Speed of changes. You have a lot of information, so from the internet, and you should know how to, in quick way, in fast way, and very productive way to acquire this knowledge. Okay, so today we will talk about the last one, but I suggest you know about other and to think how you can acquire this skill, how you can practice these skills. So how learning occurs? So something about your brain. It occurs in 3 steps. First step is encoding. I will talk later what is this. The second step is consolidation, and the last step is retrieval. Let's stop what it is. So encoding. Encoding is just a process when you take information from your sensors. So you hear something, you see something, you acquire it, and make some meaning representations in your brain. So this is encoding. We call it memory traces. Memory tracing is just short-term memory, so it's very soon forgotten. You see now, and just in a few minutes you will forget it. But this is a really important part, because if you don't know how to encode the information that you see, so the effectiveness to put it from the short-term memory to long-term memory is quite difficult. So it should be definitely very bright, and it should be with emotions. So my suggestions to you here, you have to know your own methodology, how you encode information. Do you use mind map? Do you use, audio, so maybe it's your better way to understand. Do you use any pictures or other, just to understand what is the better way how to learn, okay? So there is no some universal way how you encode, no. It's just everything about you. Okay, next step is consolidation. So you put some information in your brain, and this is not really stable because it really soon forgotten. And you want to put it from the short-term memory to the long-term memory. This process called consolidation. So when you organize your knowledge and you stabilize. So this is the process when you strengthening this mental tracing for long-term memory. Let's see what is consolidation, what happens in your brain. As I told, I will not talk about any biological notions, just for mechanism. So the first one, your brain replay the information that you heard. So someone will hear something here. So you listen, for example, this lecture, you will go out and then replay something from that you heard, okay? So this is the start of your consolidation. Then you try to give meaning for this and fill the black spots. And the last one, you need to make some connections to past experience and to other knowledge. So this is really important part. The more you learn, the easier way to acquire new knowledge. Because you have a lot of knowledge in your brain already, it's easier to make some connections. But without connections, you can't learn. That's why it's very difficult to acquire knowledge that really far from your topic. And that's why people always say, just put all the time the new knowledge that not from your domain, like something new, for example, just to learn how to dance, for example, if you're not a dancer at all, or to learn some music instrument. It's important. Why? Because you put some very different kind of parts of your brain, and it's easier to acquire other knowledge after.
But also, when we spoke about asking questions, questions help you also focus on your current knowledge and make connections. So it's also a tool.
Yeah, it's a way how you can connect to your previous knowledge, and it's really important. If you will not do this, you will forget. But if we talk about effective learning, if you want to go to some result, for example, it's really easy to see when you prepare for some exam for testing, as I work a lot with teenagers, as Nastya said, with Zeno, and I work a lot with young adults because I help people to pass GMAT, if you know what this is. And you can learn in some way, but definitely at the end you will see your result. Was it effective or not? In way. Okay, let's not talk about illusion of knowledge, because sometimes we just learn. It seems that we know everything, but when we pass the test and the result is not so good, it's just because we just lie for yourself, because we didn't learn. We just, for example, read something and maybe everything is clear, but it doesn't mean that we can retrieve it. Okay, so what about consolidations? We should know that new learning is really easily altered because they are not stable, okay? And for consolidation, it takes several hours. So it's not 1 hour, not 2, not 3, not 4, several hours and longer. What does it mean? It means that if you just learn new word, for example, and you won't just repeat it in this time, repeat, you work with short-term memory. You don't work with consolidation, don't work with long-term memory. You need interval. Just then remember and then to retrieve it again. We will talk about this. Prior knowledge is very important, as I told you. Prior knowledge is very important not only for making connections, but for a sense, just to give meaning that you see. Sleep is very helpful. Why? Why it's so important to sleep?
Refresh the brain.
What does it mean, refresh the brain?
To give the brain some start.
What happens with brain when we sleep?
Brain work actually.
Working, yeah. What?
He's
What is doing?
Maybe
Working brain.
It's some kind of consolidation during the sleep.
yes.
Yeah, which kind? What's your brain do when you sleep?
Classification.
Information
during the day.
Sergey?
So the systemized information which received during the day.
Yeah, so it's some kind of cleaning. They put outside all junk information and try to organize all information that is good. That's why it's really important to sleep even during the day. If you have a lot of information, for example, you study a lot, on the first part you can go home and sleep like 1 hour or 2. It would be very nice for your knowledge. Because brain needs in some point just stop and make cleaning because you put inside a lot of information. Okay, so some consolidation is really similar to composing an essay. What does it mean? When you try to compose it, first of all you make some notes. They are not so written in the best way. I mean, it's just some ideas and it could be not organized. But when you come back, you read it again and try to make some connections between these sentences in a more good way, and then prove it, and improve it. Okay. And the last one that is really important for your consolidation and to have practical importance and keen emotional weight to give emotions for this. Okay, so if you learn something, for example, if you read the text that is very boring for you, you should try to find what is, just to say, what is so interesting text. It's so interesting to read it, and I can tell somebody about this text or something like that. So play with your brain, play with your relation to this text. Okay, and the last part is retrieval. Why it's so important? When you consolidate, after some time, after some interval, you should retrieve it. Your retrieval is determined by context. I mean, do you understand meaning of this when you first learn it? By recent use, so how often you use it? You know that you, for example, learn some language at the school and then don't remind yourself anything, and so after several years you will not so fluent in using it. Okay, and by number of cues, what is cue?
It's attempt to remember. It's an attempt, a search attempt.
It's some kind of, you have like lots of information, and you should put like some label, some cue, how you can remember. It could be like some 1 or 2 words, and you just name it and remember the total text. It's really important when you prepare, for example, for some presentation, and you can have skeleton of your presentation, so few words, but in each word you can like open a lot of information. This is a cues, and when you learn, you should think not about how to learn, but how to take it from your brain. So it's some kind like in the drawer, this hand, okay, how to open this knowledge in your brain. Because if you will, people don't forget anything. Just to be true, brain collects everything, but we forget cues to this knowledge, and we don't remember how. Really a very nice example of it when you come back, for example, to a place where you grow up, for example, and you smell something, and you in that moment remember a lot from like 20 years ago, how it works. It works in exactly that way, so you found the cue how to put this information. Efforts matter. So when you retrieval, if it is very easy for you to retrieve it, to remember this information, this is bad. It means that after some time, you will not like remember anything. So it should be like not really huge effort, but a small effort. How it was just here. Oh, okay, I remember this formula, for example, or this text. Intervals, as I told you, it's important for consolidation. We will talk about intervals later. Really important to make mistakes. Why it's so important to make mistakes?
It's knowledge and emotions in one package.
Create its emotions, definitely. What we usually do when we like make mistake?
Focus.
Get experience.
You will
So
remember
what kind of use?
To understand something more.
You go deeply, yeah. You investigate more. You give more context, more meaning. So that's why to make mistake it's very important. Testing. Just avoid the situation of illusion of knowledge when you just read and you see, oh, everything is clear, you know everything, and then you go to the examiner, for example, and you don't know what to say, but you remember where you read it. Okay, so you should test yourself because people can't self-estimate yourself. It's impossible. You always should find the way how to test yourself. You can use like test if it is possible in I don't know, in computer, or you can use other people. Just ask me a lot of questions if like everything is okay with my knowledge. And self-reflection. So when you ask, when you, for example, practice something, and you after this practice you ask yourself, was it good? Was it correct? How it was? Why I made a mistake? Blah blah blah. About forgetting, about intervals. So do you know about this forgetting curve? Have you heard about this? No, not really. So it's just how we forget. So we just, for example, now we heard about something new and immediately we have 100% of knowledge. After 20 minutes, we will remember only 58, unfortunately. And after 1 hour, only 44%. It means that if you just go out from this room, you will remember approximately 44%. After 9 hours, maybe when we decide, I will practice it in several days, for example, this like topic, it means that after several days, you will remember like approximately 25%. So that's why it's so hard to remember what it was on the lesson. And my suggestions, if you have like lecture, like several lections today, just maybe in the evening, just remind yourself. Just not maybe spend a lot of practice, but you can read it. It will help you to remember, and it will be more easier. So 5 first retrievals. What do you think? I will come back to this. 5 first. What's your suggestion? You learn new words, and you need 5 retrievals. Yeah.
A few hours in a day, in a few days.
Hours, day, few days.
And maybe a month.
Maybe a month. Agreed? So you just suggest a few hours, 1 day, several days, maybe several weeks,
Yes.
and several months. Okay. So the best way about it is in this way. So you try to retrieve yourself immediately after learning. So you go out from this room and just reread it, maybe when you go to somewhere else. Then in 20-30 minutes, if it's possible, if not possible, okay, in several hours. In 1 day, in 2-3 weeks, and 2-3 months. So this is the best way how our brains works. Of course, it's not always possible in our lives because we visit people, we work, we learn. But anyway, you should think about it before you will go to learn something. So you should plan it when I will take some retrievals that I learned.
Just really quickly, when you are doing the mind mapping, you are more or less here because it helps you retrieve it, and when you are asking questions, you can be here. I mean, it's needed for your cognitive function. It's not just to be polite or to look good.
Yes, definitely. It can help you like to remember like approximately 90% of information on this step. Okay.
So please prepare your questions for this session. As you are listening.
So the most part, if you talk about our brain, is just retrieval by intervals, not only in that moment. Just retrieve, elephant, elephant, elephant. Oh, I know what is elephant. No, after several hours, you just say elephant. What is this? What happens with my brain? And nothing usual, like nothing unusual. Okay, so it's how the brain works. Practical importance. We will talk about this later. It's just about meaning. Learn. Why it's important is just for your connections, just for your way to acquire in faster way information. Emotions, okay, because it's for if you put emotions, it's better way to encode information. Okay, and easier is not better. I mean, you need efforts to remember something. Okay, so let's talk about my experience next, about something that I would like to suggest here. So, as a person who really likes to learn, I'm just fan of learning. I always learn something new, and I spend a lot of time in some Coursera stuff and blah blah blah. Just before you start learning, you should ask yourself 5 why. Do you know about 5 why? Yeah, let's make some practice. Just take something that you would like to learn in the nearest future. For example, you want to learn, I don't know, data science, or you want to learn something about management. Okay, and write why. I want to learn data science because.
Why?
Yeah, just write it. It's your practice. I want to learn data science because.
Does anyone need a paper or pen or pencil or no?
For example, I want to learn data science because I want to work on the new project. I didn't have it work. So it's possible if I will learn, I will work there. So next step, let's take this new project. I want to work in the new project because. So you should take second part and put it on the first part and do again the same. I want to learn data science because I want to work at the new project. I want to work at the new project because. For example, I want more money. Why not? Why not? I want more money.
Very usual.
So, again, take the last part. I want more money because. So, the third step. I want more money because. I want a new car because. So it's first step. I want a new car because I want to show my friends that I'm cool. I'm better than he, for example. Okay. I want to show my friends that I am cool because. So it's the last step. Finished. I want to show my friends that I'm cool just because I want some respect from him, for example. Okay. So now put the last one. If you finish, all finished, everyone. So take the last one. I want respect from my friend. And take the first one. I want to learn data science and connect this. And think. Is it the one way how you can achieve the respect from your friend? Is the best way to receive this respect? Maybe there is some better another way. Okay, so it's just about truth for yourself. What is the point? The point is the first two sentences that you wrote, it's something from other people, it's not for yours. It's not really truth reason why do you want to learn. The truth reason after second one, so third, fourth, and fifth. And you should really understand your needs. And if on the last step, this need is definitely connected with the first one, everything will be okay. You will finish your learning. If something not so clear there, it's just a red flag that it would be procrastination or you will not finish it at all because you really don't understand why do you need this. I saw a lot of examples when people came to our courses. They thought, I really want to get MBA and really want to enter to the top 10 universities. And after approximately 4 homeworks, they said, okay, I don't really want to study. It's so hard for me. But it's really not, it's not about hard. It's about do you need this or not and why you go there. Just to say everyone that I'm preparing for MBA or you just really need this to go to this MBA. Okay? It's just about honesty with yourself. Don't start any learning before you understand why do you need this. It's more about your motivation and it's a different topic and we can talk a lot, but this is really important. So my top 10 stuffs that you should just keep in mind during and before learning. So first of all, when you start something, think when you can take practice of this. So maybe it could be some project that drives you and you can take this knowledge and put inside. So the best way is when you work, you have some problem, you don't know how to solve it and you go and learn. So it's the best way because you have problem, you have pain, so that's why you will learn. And then you will take this knowledge in every day and put this and solve some small parts of this. So just before learning, think where you can make some practice. Okay? Second one, just find the person who definitely have the skill in the best way. So this person, like the best manager that I know, or this person, he's the god of artificial intelligence, for example. Why it's so important? Because you know that this person who knows the skill, first of all, exists, and next you can ask him what he should do just to be as this person. And in many times it could save a lot of time when you try to make a passive learning. Just ask this person. And this person can support you during your learning. You can ask a lot of questions. Second one, environment that supports you. That's really important. Environment is just people who believe in you and who believe that you will acquire these skills. It's not so hard for you. You can do it and blah, blah, blah. The best way, if you learn like in some group, it's perfect way because you learn among people similar to you and they learn, so this is a good environment. But if you learn something by yourself, it's important to find this environment by yourself. Discreteness of skill, what does it mean? It's just try not to learn everything in one time. You should understand that it's a long way to acquire some skill, and you can divide it on the parts and celebrate each part. So you learn something small, you practice it, and you see that now you can do it. It's a small step, and you should say to yourself, okay, I'm good in it. Just give yourself some cookies and maybe nice coffee and blah, blah, blah. And then move to the next step. If you will try, like, I want to speak English fluently, and from the steps that I don't speak English to the steps that I can speak fluently, it's a long way. And if you always say yourself, I'm not fluent, it would be not so good, okay? So discreteness is really important, and you should do it before learning, just to divide this in the parts and write for yourself and put it like, this is already done, this is already done. That is used all of courses, if you know, they have plan and they tick that you already finished it. It's just fine, because you need some dopamine to understand that I do a lot, okay, I'm the halfway. Consistency in learning, it means that it's very similar as running marathon or make like nice dress, something like that. You can just have physical training today and after 3 months. I mean, to train today 10 hours and then in 1 month 10 hours again. So don't do the same with your brain. If you want to do this, okay, I will learn, spend all the day for learning, then like have interval very, very large, like several weeks, and then learn again. That is too bad for our brains. It's more like, it's better to learn today 15 minutes, tomorrow 15 minutes, after tomorrow 15 minutes. Actually, what is the best time for learning? Morning, especially first 15 minutes, because your brain are very fresh, they are clean. So that's why you acquire, like, in the best way information. And if you get up and take cell phone, so you will acquire in the best way information from your cell phone. You should understand this. And 15 minutes before sleep, because it's the most fresh information that you remember. So that's why usually we remember this information better. So that's why people usually before going to sleep just put something that you want to remember mostly from this day, and then when you get up, just remind yourself, so you get some retrieval. Okay, viewability, what does it mean? It means that when you acquire some learning, this is about this project, you should try to think where you can show this, that I already know this, and I already can do it. Maybe for your friends, maybe make post something in Facebook just to show it should be viewable. because you can see that you like develop your skills. Self-reflection, as I told, just ask a lot of questions for yourself. Everyday basis. Fast feedback. What does it mean? It means that don't learn during several months and then go to testing. No. Just test yourself in a regular basis, maybe once a week. As when we teach GMAT, for example, we always make some, for every lesson we had quizzes fast, just to take fresh feedback. Is it okay with this topic or not? It's not just to show for the students that he's stupid, no, it's just for his better understanding what is good and what is not so good in his learning. Okay? And then teach others. It's the best way. When you go to any event, for example, the best that you can do, just go out from this event and call your friend and tell, that was amazing, I will tell you what I heard. It's not only for this person, first of all, it's for you, because you organize your knowledge, your retrieval, and this is very good for your understanding. Okay, so teach others, share information. When you share information, you will learn more.
That's why we teach, right?
Yeah, that's why we teach. That's why when I learn something, I always think where I can teach it, to whom I can tell it. Not always to that person. It could be like post on Facebook. It's okay too, because you should organize some information to post it. That is good. This is for you, not for people. First of all, for you.
So viewability is
visual, or it's something visual, so just to see your knowledge. So what?
So like a beautiful mind map?
It could be, but for example, if you learn some musical instrument, you can try to play some small part, like not the long one for the exam, but small part you can and you should do. You can like think that it's not so like perfect one, but you must do it, because you should view what you can. It's really important for our brain. Okay, so I suggest you some stuff. I suggest you first of all this book, Make It Stick. There is in Russian too, Запомнить всё. It's exactly about science of successful learning. It's about brain, about a lot of investigations, how we should learn. It's a very nice book. And I'm sure that you heard about this course on Coursera, Learning How to Learn. It's very quite easy course, but it's really give you some very nice information how it works. Okay? Actually, there are a lot of books, a lot of courses. I just believe that if I give you like 30 books, you will not read all 30. So that's why I just give you one book and one course. And I really suggest you to read that report, because it's really interesting what will happen with our ecosystems in nearest future. Okay? So thank you. That's all that I wanted to share with you. Maybe you have questions.
What is your ideal moment to learn from TV?
You mean how to encode? For me, I use Evernote, and for me, it's ideal way just to read and put in my own words the information, like more organized. So this is my better way to encode. I know my friend, her better way to encode information is mind map. She really uses it in a very professional way. It's like the best. But for me, not so versatile. I need some more structure. So I use this.
Maybe there are other ideas how you encode.
Yeah, how do you use? How you encode information?
Like in stories, short stories.
Okay, short stories. So you know good stories, no?
No, but it's short, like you said, like points, but then you connect them with some gaps and stuff. As I said,
Actually, do you have this habit when you wake up and learn something for 15 minutes that you want to?
Not really in the morning. It's just habits that you should acquire, but not really. But what I practice is just when I go to sleep. So this time before I just 40 minutes before I sleep, I just think about the important things. So I just try to retrieve something that I should know.
Actually, could be bad for your sleep.
No. I give some task for my brain.
So everyone will have to ask a question.
everyone.
Start early. That will be our exercise for retrieval. Or rather consolidation, I guess.
Actually, Edison always says that before going to sleep, just give the task for your brain. What your brain should answer in the morning. So it's a very hard question. Just talk with your brain. It's so clever.
Like intuition.
Intuition is just your knowledge. You know, this is just a lot of it, some combination, something. As inside, it's not really something that. And the creativity is just from your knowledge. You can be creative if you learn a lot and read a lot and listen a lot of ideas.
For creativity, that's my opinion, we need to learn how to apply the knowledge. That's a little bit out of the scope, applying the knowledge after you learn it.
Yes, but I mean, creative thinking is just something that you can train. I mean, a lot of people say I'm not creative. I can do it. It's just false way of thinking. You can do it. You can have creative thinking. You should just train it. That's just try to solve very interesting problems in a creative way. There is very nice technique. I don't know how it's English because it's Russian methodology. Please, решение изобретательских задач. The stuff that business uses now. So you give some problem with open So in this way you can just teach others for creativity. Why it's so important? Because in school when you study, you just it's usual way that they give you a problem and you know that there is only one solution and you need to just write what is the solution and find this. And in real world it's not the case. There is a lot of solutions and just to be open-minded you should practice it in another way. Actually it's if you do know something about GMAT or you don't know. Yeah, so this is question in like type data sufficiency. It's more about way like not standard in the school because they ask you if it's sufficient information to solve it. So and it's not so convenient for people. So why? So it's sufficient. Usually you give me information and I solve. In this way you should understand what do you need to solve. So the different thinking. So that's why they use this. You know that GMAT is not about mathematics, not about English. It's just about your way of thinking. It's good test really. And there are like some people who came to me to learn how to prepare for this test, not for passing the exam, just for their brains. Do you have any questions?
Well, everyone will have to ask a question, so let's start with you.
Yes. Okay, actually, it's talking about real life.
we all work in a big, in a very intensive way, in a very intense way, and it's really difficult to take focus and to keep focus on learning. So, what is the most efficient way to, or your advice to do it?
First of all, plan this time when you will learn something. Just to focus, you need to think about time, you need to think about environment, so where you will do it, and to make everything just turn off your cell phone, for example, just put outside all disturbing stuff. So this is the first step that you can do. And
what about time? For example, if you have to be in focus the whole day. So, for example, if you
it's impossible.
Yeah, so, but it's real life, really. So.
You're really not in focus. Usually we start people when they try to train the skill, they start from 5 minutes when you focus.
I mean, for example, you have training, you go to a gym, for example, you go to work, you have a personal life, you have learning. So how to keep focus all the day in different things, because you really have to relax.
So you plan your day, and when you're in the gym, just to be now in the place that you are. If you will think about other stuff during this, this is not about focus. So focus is just to be there that you are. Yeah,
Do you
present in the moment. It's really.
Any technique how to
Meditation is good. You start with meditation.
Yeah, but now I'm in gym and I have a head full of different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Shall I go and meditate before starting working out?
Meditation helps you.
You cannot leave a phone in changing room.
Meditation just helps you to keep focus more
Yeah, I know.
But it's just prerequisite before going to the gym.
Yes.
When you're in the gym, you try to talk with your brain. So if you just catch yourself with some thoughts not about this exercise, so just put.
Okay, but then
and in the gym, it's really nice practice that you psychologists is just think about body. Do you know? So when you make some exercise, just to try to feel your muscles in that moment. Yeah. I don't know how it in English заземление называется, так, уйти в тело. It's a really nice practice, even when you have a lot of emotions. So something is very stressful, you should try to feel yourself. So it really helps to to keep focus. When I love run, and I have different way of running. One run could be I understand that I want just to solve some problem, and during the run I just think about this problem and say, okay, it's just about communication with my brain. And another, I said, okay, now it's training, and I want to to run in more effective way. So I should think only about my body, my speed, how I feel. So that's why in that moment I try in maximum way. I don't listen music. I don't listen outside. I try to focus on my body. So it depends on your goal, because in the gym actually you can do it you can think about some problem. It's a really cool way. How it's in English? Сфокусированное внимание, рассеянное. Fixed and dispersed. Maybe dispersed. It's something. Okay, but it's a different way how to think. You can try to solve problem when you focus. It's one way, and the other way when you don't have focus. It just ask your brain about something and don't think about this. It could be that after several hours or days you will have insight. It's just it's the solution. It's just because you before ask your brain, please find the solution.
So maybe the answer to your question is that you do not need to keep focus all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, but for example, if I have to solve problems at my work, the whole working day. After that, I have learned. It's really difficult sometimes to keep focus after my work because I have to do many things with my brain during the day. So that's, for example, we have to make more breaks during the day. Like
That's true. Focus, when you try to be focused, it's really take a lot of energy from your body. You know that your brain is only 2% of your body, but it takes approximately, usually, 20% of your energy. And when you work with brain, it's more. So that's why when you come back home and try to learn after a long this day, it could be very difficult. So if you know this, you should try don't read the book, think slow and decide fast, something like that.
It's slow and fast.
Slow and fast thinking, something like that. He talked about two systems. The first system is automatic, and this system will not take your energy. The second system is rational system, when you should spend some energy. So don't spend a lot of energy, you should use first system. How you will use this first system is just when you will have some habits that in automatic way. When you brush your teeth, you will not spend any energy because it's usually your body knows what is this, and you use first system, not second one. And when you try to make something new, you will spend a lot of energy. When you drive a car during 10 years, you will not spend a lot of energy, but when you try to drive it first 20 minutes, you will spend a lot of energy because it's not so comfortable to your brain. So that's why habits are very, very important. And if you remember the story, for example, and this is why it's decisions. If you remember the story about Steve Jobs, that he bought usually the same t-shirt, 10 the same t-shirts, just not to choose one. Because when you try to decide what you want to put on, you spend this energy. So to try to make minimal number of decisions that you should accept. It's really the pain for managers because during the day, usually managers take a lot of decisions and it takes a lot of energy. So they should revisit and try to make automatic system how to decide in different way.
I've read a book, I don't remember where, that we have a really a limit of decisions we can make per day. And that's basically the amount of the energy that we use on choosing something from the menu. I mean, this is a bit primitive, but it's a decision. Choosing something from the menu is a decision, but also making a payment for, a service is also a decision, or a strategy is also a decision. But all of that requires it consumes your mental capacity, and your mental capacity per day is limited. So if you spend all your effort on decisions about food, clothes, friends, or whatever, then you don't have the space for learning. So that may mean, in your case, that you have to replan your life around learning if you have enough motivation to do it. Because there is no extraordinary way to give you more decision energy for the day. I'm afraid that's the best answer I can give.
And you should plan where you can give this, take this energy. This is important too, because we always plan how to spend it. Okay, so all planning, all time management is about spending, but you should plan where you can find this energy. It could be going to the gym when it's time when you do something with your body, but your brain in that case they relax. They can in some cases, not always, but just don't think about anything. It's just talking with your very close people. It's hugs. It's your hobby, and it could be even some traveling, maybe looking on very nice views. So it really depends. You should know your sources of energy, because your sources of energy is not sources of energy other person. That you should it's your task to know yourself. it's the best that you can do. To know yourself, to know how you learn, to know where you get energy, to know what is the mental capacity yours, because it depends. If I'm 20 years old and I'm 25 years old, it's different. It's different mental capacity. And really nice exercise, like go tomorrow for work and just to write each time when you decide something. Decide go that way or this way. Decide what to eat in the morning. Decide what to answer this person. And you will see and can just reorganize it and decide what in which way you can going to spend time and your energy. It's really important.
Yeah, much comment. Take rest somewhere ultra all-inclusive. And only the decision you will make during the day, go to the beach or to the pool.
When you change some environment, it will give you energy. When you sleep, it will not give you energy. Just remember, just if you sleep, it will not give you energy. Just a lot. Because it's very interesting stuff.
We have 15 minutes left and we have 13 questions left, so maybe we can just go past. Nazar?
Maybe one question about not about learning, but about information, how to filter it, because we have too much information from all the sources, and everybody of us want to be on the edge, know the news, but often when we read some news, there are a lot of things which we don't need actually. So how to choose information?
My experience is always on the daily basis clean. I clean my Facebook, I clean my Instagram, for example, I clean from people whom I read. I decide from where I will read something and from where I will not read. And I clean the environment, people around you, because they give information too. And not always this information is useful. So maybe it's better to spend time with people who can give you more information. I don't really mean that you need to spend time only with people who give you information, because if you talk about close people that you loved, so you give you take energy that in that moment in this environment. It's different. But if we talk about the information, sometimes really we have a lot of people who talk a lot and not in the best way. Especially you should clean any negative environment. It's really important because it eats your energy. So try to put yourself, just love yourself and put yourself in a nice environment.
Okay, your question?
My question?
Yes.
Well, you talk much about algorithms, how to study, how to learn, how to clean people, how to clean the environment, and so on. And actually, I have two questions.
Okay, great.
They may be rude, but please forgive me. What kind of Android are you? And the second question, where do you get emotions from? How to be emotionally intelligent in this way of prioritizing and algorithmic approach to environment, people, and so on.
Okay, first the second one I can share only my experience, how I work with my emotions. And
where did you get them? That's the first of all. How to manage inside myself?
I get emotions. I don't know, they just came up. For now, I'm just have some emotion. It's something that you can't control. I mean, how it appears, but you can control how to manage it after. Or maybe I not really understand this question.
Maybe theater or cinema, or maybe.
You mean good emotions?
Yeah.
Good emotions. Okay, it's just the same about how you find the source of energy, something like that. Good emotions, you know people from whom you can get good emotions. You know from which kind of concert you can get good emotions. And this is a very nice question because you need some diet, emotions diet. So if you take some negative emotions, it should be like, usually people say that approximately 10% bad emotions, approximately 30% neutral, and 60% good emotions, just to cover this 10% of bad emotions.
What is it how irrational, like
Yes,
emotional?
yes,
So
very rational. Yeah.
I'm just mathematician, so I finished mechanics and mathematics faculty, so it's just something in my blood. I talk in numbers.
The kind of Android we got.
It's really important when you acquire some negative emotions. You should ask yourself, okay, great, this is my, for example, 10%, and now I should find where I can get 60% of nice emotions. So this is your responsibility, not.
You see, bad emotions, they is the source of energy, and they can boost your and you can do more even than with good emotions. In sports, maybe. Yeah.
It could be, yes, of course. Of course, it could give you, but like.
It's called constructive stress, by the way.
Yeah, it could be. Well, why not? Actually, in stress when we acquire some new information for new learning, we learn, for example, how to drive the car. It's stressful for your brain, for your body, but it's good stress. It's constructive stress. But anyway, you should remember that you should spending of energy covered for acquire some energy. So just be like. Take focus on it, like more and more think about this.
Who is next? Bogdan? Any question?
Okay, just thinking about how to get all this information. Yeah, and the question is then about encoding.
Okay.
We get a lot of information, we get a lot of emotions, we get a lot of neutral information, useful information, negative information. Do you have any tricks to resorting this information? How? Because if we help, for example, we have suitable our environment, we understand for this person, if he's speaking a lot, we can get a lot of neutral information or negative information. For this person, we can give, or for this source, we can give some bad information or good information, yeah? And it will be fresh environment.
Yeah, and the trick is that if it's negative information, you should be much better than just usual information. That's right. It's just the case about cleaning your environment and cleaning the information that you acquire. That's true. It's just something that you can do before you acquire this information. And in the moment, just if it is neutral information, just believe yourself that everything that encoding is just short-term memory. So if you will not retrieve it, you will forget. So everything is okay with it. But if you want to, and if you know what you really want to remember, and you will start the process of consolidation and retrieval, it it's full your capacity, something like that. So that's why you will not have any space for neutral information, for example. But it's not the case for negative, because negative we remember, especially if it is something about us. So let's come back and talk about emotional intelligence, how in the moment talk with yourself and just talk that, okay, it's not about you, it's about the other person, and just don't remember.
We spoke a lot about focus. There is a book, Red Pill, Andrei Kurpatov. Maybe you know this book.
Yeah, I know.
So I like this book very much because it explains from medical point of view what we decide, what brains decide,
Okay.
who's brain, who's we, etc. So, what is your opinion about this book?
I didn't read this book. I heard several lectures of this guy, and I like it so much, especially his explanation why it's so hard, for example, to give up smoking because our brain don't like any new, something new environment that you maybe it's interpreting this like why not? But only one moment that I can share with you. Everything that you read, you should put through your filter and try on yourself if it works or not. For example, just in case when I try to help other people to make this test GMAT, there is part of reading comprehension when you should read the text and answer the questions. And there are a lot of strategy how you can do it. You can read all the text and then answer. You can just read the question and then go back to the text. You can read just some sentences, blah blah blah. But the main point that there is no like the best strategy. There is strategy that works for you. So that's why when you read, if you just think that it's a great idea and you see that it works for you, just use it. So everything, all this information is just tell you that you should investigate yourself. Nothing more. Just learn yourself. Learn your state. I mean, in this point, just you can even track it. I mean, in every half an hour, what is the level of my energy? It's high or low? Why? What's happening? And after some investigation, you can do something with it. So first try, then try to do something new.
We have 5 more minutes, and maybe we could collect a couple more questions to practice the whole retrieval stuff. And
I have a question about encoding. Where is the best time to make this mind maps, maybe some emotional, some memory tracks? We need to do it during the lessons or after a day. Where is the better time?
My experience is the best. I know definitely when is my stop point, when is enough for me information, and I usually tell yourself, okay, here is a stop, and then I make some this encoding. Yes. So for me, it's the best way just, for example, listen something, think about this, and then make encoding. It's the best way, but. It's not always the case because you can study, for example, here, I don't know how it's organized, but or in school you have a lot of lessons, one-to-one, yes, and it's not always the case when you can make like the best encoding. So maybe some short parts, some just write a few things. But anyway, it's a good way just to listen and then reflect, make some reflection of this. Maybe even one good idea. So this is the main thing. I know really definitely when it's enough for me this information. And I suggest you to know yourself too. Yeah, just not listen and just to be polite. Don't say other person that it's enough. So you can say, okay, this is enough, I will work on it and then come back. Especially when you, like, for example, learn at work and some person will tell you new information. You can say, okay, it's enough. Because after you will see that you will not remember anything because there is some stop point. And you will not acquire, you will think about the first part or you will think about other stuff. Because your brain says, thank you, that's enough for me.
Can you please put an explanation of emotional intelligence in the very one sentence? Why do we need to know about it? Why do we hear about it so much? Especially when we touch soft skills, etc.
As for me, it's just all about rational decisions. So if you have really large emotions, you can't think rational. So that's why you need to know yourself how you can go from the part of your brain that limbic system, yes, for your emotions to rational part. How to do it, how you can acquire your emotions and do your work best. It's the best case when you need to speak, for example, on the huge auditorium, for example, 200 people. You can have emotions, stress, and in some moments you can say nothing because you are in the stress and you can't think rationally what you should say to people. So if you work with your emotional intelligence, you know what you should do with your stress and with your emotions to go back to your rational part. Actually, a very nice, helpful stuff for me is just in the moment when I have emotion to ask yourself, okay, I have this emotion. Why? Just when you ask yourself why I have this emotion, it's more about rational part, and you change it. And you come back and try to think rational, and it works. Your emotions have low, or maybe in that moment have take a break. For example, if you see that you have a lot of emotions, and don't make any decisions at work.
I'm very. I really want to give a different answer.
Yes,
I'm very
of
tempted.
Nastya is better in that I'm rational person.
But I'm not a mathematician. But as opposed to Tanya, I believe that we make all decisions emotionally, and then we find the right rational justification for that. I mean, you can see that this is a different perspective on this answer. But in order to have good decisions, you need to know your emotions, because that's where they're coming from, even the most rational ones. That's one thing. And second thing, for me, emotional intelligence is also a lot about relationships. And because we are not computers, we need to know how to build relationships, because at the end, they also save us time and open windows that wouldn't be there if we didn't have a relationship. And that's why it's really critical to know how to build relationships and how to maintain them.
Who can be named emotionally intelligent person?
Like you, for example.
Okay, but what does it mean?
What does it mean?
Yes. Does it mean that I can drive my emotions?
Well,
I can manage it.
the Goldman, the guy who actually started the whole topic, Daniel Goldman.
Okay.
So here, if you want to read, you can. He has a number of books about that. But his quick definition of emotional intelligence is your ability to manage to be aware and manage your own emotions and the emotions of others.
And the emotions of others too.
Yes.
Okay.
So when you are able to feel the context and to see what is happening and to respond to whatever emotions are there is also part of your emotional intelligence. But you cannot do it if you don't know what is happening with yourself. That's why part of learning emotional intelligence is about how do you feel right now, how do you manage your own emotional state, how can you change it, how can you influence it, and then you can also work with others, because you cannot just observe others without knowing what's happening. That's why it's two-sided.
First master on yourself. So now for other people. Actually, this book, Slow and Fast Thinking, it's about this guy take Nobel Prize exactly for the improvement that we always decide in a rational way, not rational really. But he explained how it works, that our first system, it's like she decides in maybe in 90% of cases. So that's why we should build this first system automatic in a really nice way. So use second system to build first system.
Okay, time to stop. You okay? Any more questions that you are desperate to ask? The practice is over. Is that the hint?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I hope this was
I hope that you will do some practice tomorrow, for example. Just track your energy or track your making decisions, and I hope that you will include this.
Well, here is my sort of version of the key things. And maybe I just want to finish. I keep thinking about this. I started my career as an interpreter, so I've been interpreting a lot for different courses with British trainers and professors. And at the end of these courses, I thought I was the best student because the information kept going through my head. And for me, making notes in whatever way you decide to do it really helps maintain your mental presence here and now, and it really helps you remember a lot more because you physically write it, and it's part of the system. So, just take care of your learning, and it can be a lot of fun, it can be a lot of stress, and it's up to you which way you go. Thank you so much for coming today.
May I ask one question? Because it's some kind of bothers me. So you work with this testing systems, like this, how it's called, exams,
Okay.
Yeah.
SATs.
Yeah. Where is this difference between remembering and understanding? How to really check this? The person who passes exam understands, but not just remembers some facts.
It's a good question. It's about methodology of this exam. If you will take GMAT, they checked, so you will not find any two questions that are similar, really. So they wrote in a different way, and if you don't understand, so you can pass it. So it's not the test where you can sit and remember all the formulas, all the facts, all the words, and pass it. That's not true. So the answer, you should construct the test in that way that the person who just remembers some stuff can't pass it. So this is only about methodology. It is just a question for people who try to teach. Okay, so
what about our Ukrainian system? It's close to Japan or far away?
No. Unfortunately, no. The no is just more about remembering, especially in the history, in Ukrainian, other topics. Unfortunately, if we take the same test, but in USA for teenagers, SAT General, it's more. They had revision in 2016, and they make totally different test. And this test about logic, this test about understanding. So each task there, each problem is you can't solve it just with one formula. You should understand what's happened in this problem. So they made it after a huge investigation during 1 year. They talk a lot with businesses, they talk a lot with colleges and with university. What is the main problem with students who came to them, and the main problem was about thinking and understanding. So that's why they changed this test just to make some filter to higher education, to put there only people who can just think and not only remember. In our country it's not the case, but I hope that in several years maybe.
The same story with IQ, that it was some kind of, let's say, inflated, that it doesn't really reflect this IQ numbers, real, let's say, level of logical thinking of person.
Yeah, maybe. But as I can tell, in our company now, where we work smart, yes, we work with advertising. It's IT company. We work with programmatic. The main case for to take person on the board, to hire this person, is just how he can think, because definitely every day something is changing, and if the person knows something, it doesn't mean that he will know something tomorrow. But if he can think just a few steps more, and he can learn, and he open-minded, yes, I will work with that person, even if he don't have really nice hard skills, because we know that we can teach them. It's easier than to teach thinking. But I try to solve this problem in my company, because my CEO, he asked me do something with people that already on the board, and to make them more creative thinking, and we practice it through some problems. So I ask them problems and they think. So this is the way how you try. And after maybe 15-20 problems in your real work, you will ask yourself one more question, and maybe will do in creative way. So
and if artificial intelligence will pass math better than human being, what does it mean?
He can pass it to the person you want.
Maybe you could answer that question when you finish the program. How about that?
Maybe.
Okay, well, it's Sunday today, and we still have a little bit of time and fun to get some rest and find your sources of energy.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank Tanya for taking the time for us.
Thank you.
Thank all of you to be here.